All right, let's get right into it. Every single building around us has a secret story. And I'm not talking about the architect's original dream. I'm talking about how it was actually built, a story that's usually full of unexpected twists and on the spot fixes. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the one document that tells the whole true story. So let me ask you a question. If you pulled out the original blueprints for your office or your school or even your house, do you think they'd be a perfect 100% match for the building you're in today? Yeah, probably not. And that gap, that difference between the plan and the reality is exactly what we're digging into.
You've basically got two different worlds. On one side, you have the design plan. It's the theory, right? It's the architect's perfect vision. Everything is clean, precise, exactly where it's supposed to be. But then, construction happens. And on the other side, you have the as-built reality. That's the truth. It's what happens when builders hit a snag, have to make a change on the fly, and adapt the plan to what actually works on site.
Which brings us to our first big idea here, what I like to call the myth of the blueprint. We all tend to think of blueprints as this untouchable, final word, but honestly, they're really more of a first draft. It's just a simple fact of how things get built. I mean, think about it. A plumber might be running a pipe and, bam, they find a steel beam right where the drawing said there'd be open space. They have to reroute it. Or maybe a specific window model is suddenly out of stock, so they have to use a slightly different one. All these little changes are totally inevitable, and they add up, making those original plans a pretty unreliable guide. They're a starting point, for sure, but they are not the final word. So, if the original plan is just the beginning of the story, how do we find out what really happened? How do we get the building's true story? Well, that's where a very specific and incredibly important document comes into play. This is it, the as-built drawing. You might also hear it called a record drawing, but it's the same thing. It's the final, corrected set of plans that shows what was actually put in place. It's the ultimate reality check, documenting the exact real-world location of everything, from the walls to the wires. I love this way of thinking about it. An as-built drawing is so much more than a technical document. It's literally the autobiography of the building. It's the definitive history of how it came to be, written from the building's own perspective. It really nails it. And let me tell you, this autobiography is unbelievably valuable. For the folks managing the building, it means they know exactly where that leaky pipe is hidden in the ceiling. For anyone planning a renovation down the road, it means not accidentally drilling into a live electrical line. It can even make getting permits way faster, and can be an absolute lifesaver if there's ever a legal or insurance issue. So the big takeaway is, this is not just boring paperwork. It's a vital tool for the entire life of the building. So what actually goes into this autobiography? It's a whole lot more than just a marked up floor plan. It's really a whole package of critical information. A complete as-built package has the whole shebang. You've got the final layouts, of course, but just as important, it shows the exact locations of all the hidden stuff. The plumbing, the wiring, the HVAC ducts, everything that's tucked away inside the walls and ceilings. But it also includes things like photos from the site, official records of any changes that were approved, and even all the questions and answers that led to those changes in the first place. Now, creating this thing isn't some task you just knock out at the very end of a project. The best way to do it is to make it a continuous process. It kicks off with what's called redlining. That's when contractors literally take a red pen and mark up the drawings right there on site the moment a change is made. Then that's followed by careful surveying to get precise measurements, drafting those changes into a new, clean digital file, and finally submitting the whole package for official review. Okay, and this is where it gets really serious. The role of as-built records isn't just about making things convenient. It's about safety. It's about documenting the dangers that you absolutely cannot see. And look, I'm not being dramatic here. This isn't just a rhetorical question. During construction or a renovation, work crews can uncover all sorts of unexpected things, and some of them can be pretty hazardous. Documenting them properly is absolutely critical for anyone who sets foot in that building in the future. This slide really brings home what's at stake. As-builts are the official record where you note the discovery of hazardous materials, like asbestos or lead paint. They're used to map out contaminated soil or old, forgotten underground fuel tanks. They show exactly where an unexpected gas line was found buried. This kind of information can literally save lives, years, or even decades down the road. So, given how incredibly important this all is, how do we make sure the building's story is told accurately? Well, this is where technology has totally changed the game, moving us from what was basically guesswork to incredible precision. Just look at the difference here. The old way, you had people scribbling inconsistent notes on paper, trying to remember everything at the very end of a project. It was a recipe for disaster. But today, the best practices use mobile software, often tied into a bigger system called BIM, for real-time digital updates right from the field. And instead of someone walking around with a tape measure, we now use amazing technology like 3D laser scanning or LiDAR, which basically paints the entire structure with light to create a perfect to-the-millimeter digital model. It's incredible. And that's the ultimate payoff, right? Getting the as-built story right isn't just about finishing up a construction project. It's about empowering every single person who will live in, work in, and maintain that building for decades to come, and making sure they can do their jobs safely and efficiently. So the next time you walk into any building, I want you to think about that. Does it have a carefully recorded autobiography that tells its true story? Or its most important secrets a complete mystery, just waiting to cause a problem? Trust me, knowing the difference is way more important than you might think.